Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Reader's Magnet featured author interview, where we dive deep into the world of creativity and inspiration. And our guest for today is Dr. Stewart Lonky, who remains a sought-after speaker and medical legal expert, and he co-wrote Invisible Killers: The Truth About Environmental Genocide. And today he is talking about his book, Outsmarting Obesity, offering new insights on the global obesity crisis. So, Dr. Lonky, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you very much for asking.
Yeah. So to all of our viewers, though, again, we'll be adding links at the comment section below. We're gonna pinning them down, so at least you can grab a copy of Outsmarting Obesity, and you can follow us along during this interview. But to all of our viewers, though, who have been watching, though, especially over the upcoming Los Angeles Times Festival books, we also had just done our Reader's Magnet book confab yesterday, and Dr. Lonky was in there. He had his time to talk in front of the authors as well. So, Dr. Lonky, just want to ask you, so how was your experience yesterday during the confab experience you had?
It was enlightening, and it was uplifting. I think it's really great when authors get together and we meet each other and we talk. I have great respect for all people who write. If you're a writer out there and you're listening to this or watching this, you know what a commitment of time, effort, love, energy. It's a lonely excursion when you're writing. In some respects, you have some control, but I met a lot of nice people, and I met a lot of hardworking people. And I think that the overall experience at the confab was wonderful. I would suggest that if you're an author, or not an author, just a reader, and you want to meet authors face to face and talk to them, that you attend one of these confabs in the future.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you much for that, Dr. Lonky. And again, it's nice to hear that you had this experience as well. And again, talking more about people who write books. Yes, it is a lonely journey writing books, and it's very wonderful to see that you can talk to your peers. And again, there are different books, but the journey in writing books all boils down to making sure that you can really spread that message, talking more about your book, and making sure that this message that you had took time, research, and love and passion to complete it is being shared out onto the world. So, without further ado, though, to all of our viewers, talking more about your book here, and for you viewers out there to know more about the idea of what Outsmarting Obesity has to offer for you, and talking more about this, again, it is a global obesity crisis that we're trying to face here. And Dr. Lonky has this book that would give you some insights and new insights about this. So, Dr. Lonky, talking more about this book. So, what are, just one question is, what are some of the most common misconceptions about obesity that you hope that readers will consider after they grab and read your book then?
I think the most important thing is to recognize that weight loss is easy. Anyone can lose weight. I've practiced for over 40 years, have experienced 10,000 or more patient interactions. I've never met a patient that cannot lose weight. We've been tricked into thinking it's all about weight loss. We've been fooled. We've spent probably in excess of $3 trillion in the last 50 years in weight loss products, diet foods, diet plans, diet pills, diet shots to lose weight. And we lose weight. You know what the problem is? The obesity rate has increased from 14% 50 years ago to 43% today. So there's $3 trillion we just threw out the window. Well, we didn't throw it out the window. We actually threw it into the pockets of diet food companies and drug companies. So the biggest misconception, I think, is that it all has to do with calories in and calories out. It doesn't. And probably the biggest eye-opener in reading my book is understanding that it's not the calories. Weight loss is easy. It's weight maintenance. So what is going on in our bodies that when we go off this calorie restrictive world, whether we dope up our brains with a shot, or we just grin and bear 800 calories a day. What happens when we stop that? What is the driving factor that says right after that you're going to gain your weight back? The statistics show that 2/3 of the people who lose weight on a diet, I don't care how, gain it back within 2 years. And 95% gain 100% of their weight back. Actually, it's 105%. So that means they gain their weight plus a little bit within 5 years.
Okay. Wow.
Something's driving that, and that's what the book is all about, because you can't outsmart this unless you know what's doing it. Then the fix is given in the book as well. It's not going on another diet.
Love that, love it. And I do understand there, because again, I am we had this conversation as well, way back, talking more about fad diets, and again, legitimate diets that really can help you lose weight. But again, it always has that recoiling back to gaining that weight that you've lost, and some of them,
Absolutely,
again,
absolutely.
it's always
and
that
the diet industry does not want us to think. The diet industry doesn't want you folks and me to think about that. Pay no attention to that fact. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. The great and powerful Oz has spoken. But that's it. The diet industry is going to tell you just need another diet.
That is correct. It's
they're
always
getting
that,
rich, and the drug, right.
yeah, and again, it's always like, hey, if you gain weight, hey, try this other diet that we have planned for you. Oh, hey, you're gaining weight again, let's do another diet. It's always this do-overs, this new diet. And again, keto diets, again, I'm not saying that they really wouldn't help, but they really help. But I think tackling the most problematic thing is how to maintain that weight afterwards. And again, that book really, this
And
book
you know
really,
what?
yes, go on. Yes.
What
Go on,
I
go on.
feel, and I think that the viewers need to understand, I don't care how you lose the weight. It doesn't matter. They're all good. Losing weight is step one. Keeping it off is step 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So lose the weight. But now you have to have a plan how you keep it off. And if you don't attack what's causing the weight gain, why you were obese in the first place, you're going to just gain it right back.
Look, I agree with that, Dr. Lonky. But so, Dr. Lonky, just one thing though that really bothers my mind though. So specifically you, Dr. Lonky. So how do you tackle the stigma then surrounding obesity in your book, and why is it so important right now for us to shift that narrative then?
I think there is a stigma in obesity. It goes two ways, and there's a whole chapter devoted to it in Outsmarting Obesity. Fat shaming makes no sense. Unfortunately, I think from what I just said to you, people are overweight and obese, not by their own fault. It's not because they gorge on bonbons all day long. That isn't why. It's because they preferentially will take the calories they consume and turn them into fat. That's what the signal is to their body. It doesn't matter if you're eating a salad. It doesn't matter if you're eating a marshmallow. It doesn't matter if you're eating a chocolate bar. You're going to convert your hamburger into fat while somebody else is not. That person is thin. Now, the stigma that is approached in the book is be understanding to people, but at the same time, on the flip side of that, you have people going around saying you can be healthy at any size. This is not true. You cannot be healthy at any size. You can be physically fit at any size, but don't conflate that with healthy. Because no matter what you do, the statistics say that if you're obese and the higher your BMI, the more likely you are to develop diabetes, heart disease, or cancer. You can work out at the gym. You can
Mm-hmm.
be healthy in a physical fitness sense. You can be physically
Mm-hmm.
fit and be obese. That's not unusual.
Okay.
However, you can't be healthy. So we describe that in the book, and I go through that in quite a bit of detail. Um, Not to so much discourage people who are overweight and obese, but to make them aware of the fact that if they don't get smart, stop listening to the people that you have to embrace your size. Embrace your size psychologically. Don't let people belittle you because of it. But
Mm,
understand that you're a work in progress. First, you have to
sure.
get smart, then you can outsmart it. Okay?
Love that. Love that. And again, it always boils down to how you can outsmart obesity. And Dr. Lonky, as far as I remember in our previous conversations, we're talking about environmental factors that also influence weight gain. So can you explain like how these toxic exposures that influence weight gain and why this issue isn't even widely recognized as of today's standards?
Well, it's not that the science isn't there. The science has been there
Hmm.
for 40 and 50 years.
Hmm.
It is kept under the rugs by, you guessed it,
Hmm.
drug companies, food companies, diet companies. They don't want you to know this. So
Sure.
it plays a back seat. The fact of the matter is what we're talking about, you and I, and what I'm talking about in the book is something called epigenetics.
Hmm.
Don't go away, okay, if you're watching. I don't want to get into science. No. Well, what is epigenetics? It is a change that happens on the surface of your gene that tells a gene to either be
Hmm.
turned on or turned off. Now, there are 150 genes
Okay.
that control our weight, that control our metabolism.
Mm.
For example, there's a gene that controls whether a new cell being formed in a fetus
Hmm.
developing in a mother's womb will become a muscle cell or a fat cell. What if
Okay.
that gene is turned on to just make fat cells? Well, we're going to have more fat babies. Do we? Yes, we do. The average weight of a newborn has increased 25% in the last 30 years. Son of a gun. What is causing those epigenetic changes? Toxic exposures, chemicals, everyday chemicals in your home, things you don't even think about, but you should. You hear about it now more on the news with our current administration, but you should have heard about it for years. It's been
I agree.
suppressed.
Hmm.
And the reason it's been suppressed is it's not so easy, and the diet companies don't have anything for you for this. The food companies don't have anything for you. Pick
Hmm.
up something from the shelf. Go ahead, go to the grocery store and look at the ingredients. If it's supposed to be, chicken soup, besides chicken and the noodles and maybe some water and some salt, read the rest that's in there. Read the rest of that list of chemicals. Are you kidding
Agree.
me? Have you any idea what those things do? Take a look at your nonstick cookware. Take a look
Hmm.
at flame retardants. We put them in pajamas. It's on the keyboard of your computer. Take a look at Scotch Guard, protecting your fabrics in your house. That's a nice thing, right?
Hmm.
So all of these things are good, but these chemicals and many insecticides and pesticides that are used on the foods we eat, they are chemicals which are capable of causing these epigenetic changes to occur. And they are called obesogens. Obesogens, obesogens. They generate obesity. These obesogen chemicals are everywhere. Not
Hmm.
every chemical is an obesogen, but there are many of them. And realize that there are some 85,000 chemicals that are approved for use in the United States alone. Now, some of them are banned in Europe. You've been hearing more and more about food dyes. Look,
Mm.
those food dyes cause epigenetic changes, by the way. Okay, look,
Mm.
the red, the yellow, the blue, all of them. The work is there. It's been there for years. Why has FDA ignored it? You tell me. Okay, I don't know. Okay,
We'll never know.
if
We'll
you're
never know
waiting for
about
the
it.
government, the point of this book is that if you're waiting for the government to fix things for you, it's not going to happen. It's just never going to happen. You're waiting for something that will never happen. We're not going to go back to iron skillets and covering all of our couches in plastic like my mother did when I was a kid, because there was no Scotchgard. You know, I mean, I wasn't allowed to sit on the couch, the real couch. I sat on the plastic covering of the couch. My mother, not the kids. You'll get it dirty. It's for the company.
I do remember
So
it.
that,
Like
you know,
it's always
yeah. So those days, I mean, so chemical products cause epigenetic changes, which dictate how our genes behave when we eat food. So when you're eating, your fat cells secrete a hormone. Yes, you can't have no fat. You need fat.
True.
Because it's an endocrine organ just like your thyroid. So your fat cell starts to secrete something called leptin, Leptin, leptin. Okay, it sounds like a little green person that's, you know, but it's not leprechauns. Leptin.
Okay, not leprechaun. I was thinking.
Okay, so leptin is secreted by the fat cell, and it tells your brain, whoa, I'm full. I've had enough. What if you don't make leptin? What if the leptin you make it looks like leptin, it smells like leptin, but it doesn't work? It's kind of broken leptin. What if your brain doesn't recognize the leptin? All of those scenarios lead to the fact that you eat through your hunger. You just eat and eat and eat, and then you get up and go, oh God, I'm so full. Right?
Agree.
So
Agree.
that's just one silly little example of how these epigenetic changes make a difference in whether we're obese or not. And the good thing about epigenetic changes, if there is a good thing, is they are reversible. You can't change your genetics. Your DNA is unchangeable. It's yours. But we know a lot of this information I'm sharing with you and that I share in the book from twin studies. Identical twins, same DNA. One is obese, one is thin. Huh?
Okay.
How'd that happen? Because it's not in the genetics. It's in the epigenetics. And the epigenetics are inheritable. So they stay on the gene surface for probably 2 to 3 generations. And that's enough time to kind of make people look and say, well, it runs in the family. Well, of course it runs in the family.
Of course.
So it's an inherited trait. You may be obese because your great-grandfather had a certain habit, or he went through a famine that you didn't know about, and his epigenetics changed so that he stores fat, which was good if you're in a famine. But we have a country that's ready for any famine. Are you kidding? 43% obesity? We're set for a famine.
We're all good. We're all good with that. Yeah. And but you know, Dr. Lonky, if there's one thing that I just talking more about these things, like science backs it up. There are a lot of environmental factors, and talking about change. So I just want to ask you, within your view, though, like, what do you think that are the changes that are needed in public health policies to combat this obesity epidemic effectively? Then,
I think we have to have a very common sense approach. I think the first thing is stop hiding the science. And public health officials need to be educated first on the kinds of things that are in this book. If I were going to point to a group of people who should really read this book, it's public health officials. Because they're not going to get it from the mainstream media, for sure. They're not going to get it from all the people in the food industry, or the diet food industry, or the drug industry selling Ozempic and Wegovy. And please out there, don't think I knock those drugs. They're great. They help my patients lose weight. But that's step one. Don't be lulled into thinking if I use that drug, I will never be heavy again. Wrong. That's not true. First of all, you can't stay on those drugs very long. You'll get sick. Number two, the minute you go off them, your brain is functioning with all the epigenetic changes that it came into your diet with, is the reason why you were obese to begin with. They didn't go away. Okay? So I think that the public health officials, the way our approach needs to be is to, there's two schools of thought. One school of thought is we should ban all these chemicals. Good luck. It's not happening. The strongest lobby in Washington, and I mean the strongest lobby in Washington, is the chemical industry. So you're not making chemicals go away. Forget about it. If you're waiting for that, as I said before, I don't know how many of you have read the play Waiting for Godot, Godot. But for those of you who have not, Godot never shows up. Okay. But the whole play is waiting for him. It never comes. So the fact is that it's not going to happen. So look at your body and let's figure out, okay, I live in a toxic world. The toxins that I'm exposed to are not of my choice. I can get rid of my nonstick cookware, but if I go to the restaurant and they serve me a muffin or home-baked bread, how do I know what they used? You don't. You're not going to go around and figure that out. So plastics and so on, you can't escape these things. They're inescapable. So they are these things public health officials need to be schooled and understood. They need to understand that probably the best approach from a public health perspective is how to expose yourself to as little as possible, figure out a way how not to let these things get into your body. Ooh, can that be done? Yes. Read the book. It's there. And if they're already in my body, can I get them out? Yep. There are ways to get those toxins out. By doing that, you're going to decrease the pressure for more and more epigenetic changes. And if we do that in a population, a young population, young meaning younger than me, because I'm not having any children anymore. I already had them. Thank you. The fact is if you're going to be, if you're in the childbearing age group, men or women, you have to understand that the fewer epigenetic changes you bring to a pregnancy, the better off the next generation is going to be, and the next generation. And eventually we at least stop this climb towards 50% of our country being obese. The costs of that, childhood diabetes, cancer in kids, increasing. You don't hear any. I mean, you hear about the risks of obesity. They are heart disease, cancer, diabetes. And I know that everybody out there knows somebody said, he was so young, he had a heart attack. She was so young. Wow.
Yeah.
These kids are on insulin. But we need to reverse that. So that's where public health should be. Take a look at your body. That's the universe you can control. Your house, your body. That's it.
Love that, Dr. Lonky. And you know what? Again, to all of our viewers, though, and again, to all the people who would love to know more and read about this topic, though, I highly recommend to grab a copy of Dr. Stewart Lonky's book. Again, book Outsmarting Obesity. A doctor reveals why we gain weight, why it matters, and what we can do about it. Available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and also through his website. That's www.drlonky.com. So it also has newsletters for you guys. If ever check out the website, it's order for you guys to be informed regularly on and also get updated on how everything works as well. Again, it only takes that one small step in order for you to start change. But before we end everything here, Dr. Lonky, is there any actionable steps that you'd like to give as advice that you can recommend to individuals who want to start and take control of their weight sustainably and healthily as well?
Yeah, I would ask you, there's no one thing, but I think that if you take a look at the book and you look at the AIPE program, that's a program that I
Mm-hmm.
kind of developed. It is accept, identify, prevent, and eliminate. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about these toxins and toxic behaviors, accepting the fact that you have them, identifying them, getting them out of your home
Mm-hmm.
environment, preventing them from entering your body, and eliminating them. If you buy the book for any reason, it's for that reason alone. Because if you implement that program at the same time that you're doing a weight loss program, then you know what? You're doing something good for your epigenetics, and there's a better chance that you're going to maintain that weight loss. I always tell my patients 3 months of a diet, 3 months off the diet. Let's see how we do. Let's see if we can maintain that weight. Then we go back. You want to lose more? Let's lose more. Let's not just stay on it and say, I lost 140 pounds. Who cares? You gained it back.
Okay.
All the people
Okay.
on that Biggest Loser program, you remember that program on television? They
Yeah.
took it
Yeah.
off the air. You know why? They all gained it back. It
Mm.
failed. Yes, you can lose weight. It's not a, you don't need to be a brain surgeon to figure that out. I just
Mm-hmm.
starve you, basically, and help you burn calories. But I'll tell you something exercise does if it's done regularly. Here's something I'll leave you with. Exercise once in a while does nothing. Daily or regular scheduled exercise changes your epigenetics. Don't ask me why. I don't know. A higher authority knows the answer to that. But it
Okay.
does. Experiment after experiment has shown, study after study, that regular exercise changes epigenetics. Hmm? I do want to let you know that we
Mm-hmm.
talked about before we went on the air. There is
Mm-hmm.
another book coming.
Oh
There is a
yeah, yeah.
sequel.
Future projects. Oh,
The
sequel.
future
Okay.
project is really expands this just not to cover obesity, but to cover all
Mm.
illnesses. Okay?
Mm.
And it's called Invisible and Inescapable. That is the toxins that are in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, what it's doing to us as a population, and what we can do about it. So there you go.
Oh, love that.
So that
Love
will
that.
be, keep your eye out for that one. And if you're on my website, you'll find out about it.
Mm.
As you told them, there are regularly updated newsletters going on the website, just bringing people
Mm-hmm.
up to date on new work that's being done on obesity and on
Mm-hmm.
toxic exposures in general.
Love that, love that. And also, and again, basically here at Reader's Man as well. And again, Dr. Lonky, and to all of your viewers here. And again, if you are in the vicinity of Los Angeles, if you'll be joining also the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books that'll be happening this Saturday and Sunday, though, feel free to drop by the Reader's Magnet booth. And if ever you want to grab a signed copy, and if ever you do have some questions to Dr. Lonky, feel free to drop by, though. That'll be happening from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. That's going to be tomorrow, 1:30, 1:30,
2:30.
1:30, 2:30. There. 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. That'll be his book signing session, though. So you can try to grab, again, try, but go there, do it, grab a copy right now, and be that first person to start doing that change and follow the program in the book. And if ever you have any questions, Dr. Lonky, hey, feel free to ask those questions to him personally. Because again, there's no better knowledge than asking the author who authored the book as well himself. So you know what, Dr. Lonky, I just want to say this though. It's been an honor. It's really fun. And it's also very it also puts me in a spot right now where I gain more knowledge talking to you. Like I've been doing these interviews with you for. And by the way, to all of our viewers, we do have some previous interviews with Dr. Lonky talking more about the AIPE framework and a lot of stuff, including Chris Talley's take. If you want to know more about that, try to check out those previous interviews. Or hey, how about you just ask Dr. Lonky himself during the LA Times Festival of Books? Okay, so Dr. Lonky, just want to say this. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure and honor. And I wish you great success when it comes with your book and also battling and trying to
Well,
do that change when it comes to
it's
obesity.
always a pleasure. It's a pleasure and an honor to speak to you and the audience. So I'm always honored by the fact that people are interested in what a writer has to say. And
Love
it's
that.
the result of a lot of research and a lot of work. But thank you very much.
Thank you much for Dr. Lang. And again, to all of our viewers, again, thank you very much for tuning in. And always remember that every ending is just a new beginning in the world of stories. May your reading adventures be endless and your imagination boundless. And as we say here at Reader's Magnet, we share your stories with the world. Thank you and have a good one. Bye-bye.